morning, everyone. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. Please find a comfortable seat. So as many of you know that in January, our book club choice is this book, Real Change by Sharon Salzberg, and I wanted to read a quote from it this morning. We can't stop a thought or emotion from arising. No one can. But we can be empowered by our ability to relate to thoughts and emotions in a whole new way, learning not to buy into them while at the same time not unfairly blaming ourselves for what no one at all can keep from arising. She leads this practice pretty much the rain meditation that we practiced before, on using our body sensations and noticing them when a difficult emotion or thought arises, so that we can be with exactly what is here right now. Because as we've learned from the root causes of suffering according to yoga philosophy, experiences are neutral, and it's our perception and the narration we surround those experiences with that creates the reality, so-called the reality that each of us acts from, dwells upon, perpetuates stories of that can cause us suffering. So here's a mantra I suggest for today. I can feel this without pushing it away or getting caught up in it. I can feel this without pushing it away or getting caught up in it. So no matter what story or add-on arises, come back to your direct experience in the moment. What am I feeling right now? What's its nature? Physical yoga practice is valuable in really tuning into the wisdom within our bodies, which doesn't translate the experience better, worse, like our minds do. So can we sink into each posture, create space, even between our minds and the experience of the posture, and be with the sensations, be with what's there as directly as possible. Notice where we might get caught up in the storyline of justifying, of ruminating, of defending ourselves, of perpetuating why we should feel angry or sad, or can we pause and just be here? Sitting here now, perhaps closing your eyes, resting your hands on your lap. Allow your breathing just to be as it is. Allow your body just to be as it is. Can I feel this without pushing it away? Or creating a story about it? Allow your breath to deepen into your belly, rising up to your lungs. And slowly through your mouth, let it go. Feel empty at the end. A deeper breath in. Pause at the top, fullness. Feel the sensations there. And again, through the mouth, slowly let it go. Hold a moment at the bottom. Feel the feeling of emptiness without having to run away or jumping back into the next breath. Again, inhale deeply. Hold it in at the top. And slowly let it go. Hold it out at the bottom. And let's close the lips if you're not congested or anything and can just breathe through your nose. And let's focus on breathing deeply to fill up your belly and rib cage, using your diaphragm, and exhaling completely through your nose. Diving into what's called Bhastrika Pranayama, or bellows breath. An action comes along with it, or a kriya, in which we bend the elbows apart, fist the hands. And as you take a deep inhale, you raise your arms straight while relaxing your shoulders and spreading your fingers wide. Then exhaling, rebend the elbows, refist the hands, just like this. I'm going to set the timer for this practice of 1 minute. Do the best that you can. Ready? Go. Relax into slow breaths through your nose again, setting your left hand to rest at the center of your chest and your right hand to rest just below your belly button. Slow your breath down again. Rebalancing the lengths of your inhales with the lengths of your exhales. And gently narrowing the back of your throat to invite an audible, a subtly audible whispering sound. Use the sound to track the quality of your breathing and that you are consciously breathing. Let's dive into the felt sense experiences of this physical asana practice. Continue with your Ujjayi pranayama, or breathing technique. And then gently open your eyes. Let's come down to all fours, hands and knees. Setting your knees slightly behind your hips, about 2 inches further back. Wrists right under your shoulders. Spread your thumbs wide and flat. Parallel the creases of your wrists with the front edge of your mat. With inhale, gliding your chest forward, draw your heart up and coil your chest open. With an exhale, tuck your toes, hover your knees at 2 inches off the floor, and round into cat pose, contracting your belly. Inhale, maybe keep the knees lifted for more rigor, otherwise lower them as you coil your chest up again. Exhale, round, contract your belly. 2 more cycles, breathe in, glide your chest forward and lift it. Breathe out, dome your back by hollowing your belly. Last time. Now, as you exhale to round, lift your hips high, entering downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths there, shifting in any way that you need. You might pedal your feet in place slowly, warming up the backs of your legs. You might gently shake and nod your head, relaxing your neck as you lift your shoulder blades up onto your back ribs. Rooting into the ground firmly in the space between your thumbs and index fingers. Spiral your outer upper arms towards the floor to broaden across your shoulders. Then with your knees very bent, parallel your feet apart, hips distance. Lift your tailbone. Draw your navel towards your back. Press your chest back towards your shins. And now keep the height of your tailbone and begin to firm the top fronts of your thighs back. To whatever degree your legs will straighten, and perhaps not all the way at first, sink your heels deeper and deeper towards the ground. Keeping the fullest length of your spine as you drop your skull. Steady your gaze towards your feet. And let's take 3 more breaths, stilling the body in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now on your next in-breath, glide forward into the top of a push-up, plank pose, stacking your shoulders directly over your wrists as you look on the ground ahead of your hands, broadening your chest forward as you lift your navel on the sides of your waist. Whether setting your knees down for added support or firming your heels back with legs straight, lengthen through both ends of your spine. Take another breath in. Very slowly exhale, glide forward before bending your elbows back to hug your side ribs. Carefully passing through four-limb staff or Chaturanga Dandasana before lowering all the way to the ground. Press the tops of your feet onto the earth so your knees stay lifted as your pelvis is heavy on the floor. Feel that your wrists are alongside your floating ribs as you hug your elbows close to your sides. Broaden your chest and inhale, coil it up, sliding your shoulder blades further down your back. Cobra pose, take another deep breath. Extend your heart space forward, firm down to your toenails. Then tucking your toes, draw your belly inward as you exhale to lift your hips back to downward facing. 3 breaths, inhale. Through the nose, exhale. Inhale, sitting bones high and back. Exhale, belly firming in. Neck loose, bend the knees, lift the heels and hips. Bottom of your exhalation, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Into a forward fold. With feet still hips width apart and parallel, put at least a little bend in your knees and shift a little more weight towards your toes than your heels. Firm the front muscles of your thighs and your belly. Press your fingertips on the ground or blocks the head or your shins. And really rooting through your fingertips, draw your chest forward through your upper arms, lengthening your spine to rise halfway. Take a deep breath. Exhale, hinge forward a little deeper. Firming down through your feet, inhale, sweep your arms to rise all the way up. Interlacing your fingers, except your index. Exhale, lift the sides of your waist, then side bend to your right. Let your left foot feel heavier on the floor. Inhale, rise up to center. Rooting your right foot down, exhale, lift the spine and side bend to your left. Inhale up to center again. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus and coil your chest, gazing up as you draw your belly in and your tailbone down. Next, inhale, raise your arms straight overhead, palms touch, look up. Bend your knees and exhale, bow forward. Press with your fingertips to inhale, lift your chest and lengthen halfway up. Exhale, step left knee back, untuck the toes. Firm down to your right foot, sweep your arms forward and up as you inhale, lifting your chest, gaze up, maybe the palms touch. Lower your hands to the floor and step into child's pose, right knee back, feet together, sink your pelvis down to your heels. Inhale, slide onto the floor like a snake, coiling into cobra pose, or maybe upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Pause in stillness, take a deep breath, in and out. Inhaling, raise your left leg. Exhaling, bend your left knee and turn open your left thigh bone at the hip. Breathe in, tack your right outer hip back. Breathe out, softly step your left foot forward inside of your left hand. Lower your right knee and tuck your right toes and firm down to your left foot, rising, arms overhead. Take a deep breath, maybe the palms meet. Circle your hands to the top of your mat and exhaling, step right foot forward to fold. Inhaling, sweep your arms, interlace your fingers overhead, accept your index. Exhaling to your left, this time first, side bend. Inhale, rise up through center. To your right, exhale, lift, then side bend. Inhale up to center, cactus bend your elbows apart, and exhale, coil your chest up in a standing back bend. Inhale, arms overhead, palms meet, gaze up. Exhale, bend your knees and hinge forward from your hips. Press with your fingertips. Inhale, lift your chest and lengthen forward. This time, right knee steps back as you exhale, untuck the toes. Root down to your left foot, sweep your arms forward and up, breathe in, look up, maybe the palms touch. Set your hands down and exhale, left knee back to child's pose. Inhale, slither onto the floor into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, lift your pelvis back to downward dog. Drop right into stillness, one cycle of breath. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, bend your right knee, turn open at your right hip. Inhale, tack your left outer hip further back. Exhale, lightly land right foot forward inside of right hand. Lower your back knee, untuck the toes, from down to your right foot. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up to rise. Fingertips land at the top of your mat. Exhale, step left foot forward to bow. Sweep your arms, inhale, rise all the way up to stand. This time, let your palms touch, look up. Entering sun salutation A, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step to plank or float back to chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Let's meet in stillness in downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths. This time, step your feet together in downward facing. Turn out your right thigh at the hip. Flex your right foot and cross your right ankle just above your left knee onto your right thigh like a figure 4 shape. Root down through fingers spread and lift your sitting bones high. Draw both sitting bones back and firm your belly in. Relax your neck, gaze towards the floor, and let's take 3 more breaths. And as your right ankle presses against your left thigh, feel the help to turn out your right thigh bone at the hip. Without losing the balance of your 2 hips where the left hip sways, overcompensating to the left side. Take another breath in. Then softly step your right foot directly between your hands to enter warrior 2 pose. Seal your left heel down, right heel to arch your left foot. Then cartwheel your arms apart to rise up. Take your right hand and hook the crease of your right outer hip, rotating your right glute slightly under your body as you bend your front knee right over the ankle. Align the center of your right kneecap with your center toe. As your left thigh rotates slightly inward, firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards the right edge of your mat. Feel your pelvis as neutrally upright as possible. Open your arms. Now firming down through both feet, inhale, straighten both legs and raise your arms overhead, lifting to lengthen your spine. Exhale, rebend your right knee while maintaining the length of your spine. Open your arms again. 4 more. Inhale, rise and lengthen. Exhale, bend and expand. Inhale, rise and lengthen. Exhale, bend and expand. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Breathe in, up. Breathe out, let's ground. Few breaths in warrior two. And now as you hold your body still, can you allow space to observe just whatever rises without getting caught in whatever rises or pushing it away? Straightening your right leg for triangle pose. You might like to shorten your stance a few inches. Glide your hips sideways towards the rear edge of your mat, reaching your right hand forward, then down onto your right leg or just to the right of it, maybe on a block. Wrap your right outer hip still under your body so that your right knee and middle toe continue to line forward. Keep firming the top of your left thigh bone back as you did in warrior two, and spiral your chest open as you may direct your gaze up towards the sky. Feel the width across your arms, your whole wingspan, as we stay a few more breaths. Besides noticing what arises in sensations and thoughts, notice our relationship to those sensations and thoughts. How do we relate to what comes up? Take one more deep breath here in Trikonasana. Preparing to enter half moon pose. Look down ahead of your right foot. You might like to place left hand on left hip, unless you want an extra challenge coming into it. Walk your right hand corner from your right pinky toe about 6 inches forward. Drag your left foot in, flex it. Lift your left leg parallel to the floor as you open your chest still like triangle pose to face your left wall. Still stacking your two shoulders over your right wrist. Still wrapping right outer hip beneath you. Still breathing consciously. An optional variation of this pose is Ardha Chandra Chapasana, in which you bend your left knee towards your belly so that your left hand can catch hold of the top of your left foot. Kicking your left leg sideways back towards half moon, you pull your left foot towards your glute, lengthening into your left quadricep while spiraling your chest open. Observing your breath here, let's take 3 more cycles. Now, if your left knee is bent, slowly straighten into half moon. Then very softly, bending your right knee, land your left foot back to warrior two. Once in Warrior Two, flip your right palm up, reversing it into Peaceful or Exalted Warrior. Sideways leaning towards the rear of your mat. Keep the bend in your right knee facing forward as you take a couple more breaths. Open your right side body. On your next out breath, lower your two hands to frame your right ankle and step to plank. Lowering to your vinyasa or a few cat-cows. Let's meet in downward facing dog. Eyes steady, body still. Let's take a few more breaths in downward facing. Now bring your feet together to touch in downward dog. Root down through fingers spread. Turn out your left thigh at the hip, flexing your left foot, cross the ankle over your right thigh like a figure four. Lifting your sitting bones, draw them evenly back as you can while firming your belly in. Relax your neck. Let's take 3 more breaths. Take a breath in. Slowly step your left foot forward directly between your hands. Spin your right heel down and align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. Windmilling your arms apart to rise into Warrior Two. Now notice as you're rotating your right thigh, pivoting your right toes slightly inward. You're firming the top of your right thigh bone towards the left edge of your mat. Then use your left hand at the same time to help rotate your left glute and outer hip beneath your body. Bending your left knee right on top of the ankle. Align the center of your left kneecap with your center left toe. Feel your pelvic bowl upright, balanced as it can be, as you lengthen your spine and open your arms wide. Let's flow. Firm down to your feet. Inhale, straighten your left leg and raise your arms overhead. Shoulders stay relaxed as you lift to your crown. Exhale, rebend your left knee and open your arms, Warrior Two. 4 more. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, reground. Inhale, rise. Exhale, root down. Inhale, rise. Stay aware of how you're balancing your pelvis throughout the movement. Exhale, root. Last one, inhale, rise. And now exhale, stay rooted. Steady your gaze. Let's be here for a few more breaths. Preparing for triangle pose, straighten your left leg, perhaps shorten your stance a few inches. Glide your hips sideways towards the rear edge of your mat and reach your left hand forward before lowering it onto your leg or just to the left of your leg. Continue to wrap your left outer hip under, aligning left knee with middle toe forward, firming top of right thigh bone back, just as you did in Warrior Two. And now spiral your chest open as you might gaze up past your right thumb. Feel the wide open line across your arms, across your chest. Feel into what's here now. And notice the workings of your mind surrounding what's here now. Entering half moon, steady your gaze on the floor ahead of your left foot. You might opt to lower your right hand on your right hip during the transition. Bend your left knee, crawl your left fingertips forward into the left of your left pinky toe. Drag your right foot forward and flex the foot. Lifting your right leg parallel to the ground. Continue to open your chest just as you did in triangle to face your right wall. Stacking your two shoulders over your left wrist. Steady your gaze on one spot and feel into what's here in this new transition. Now, if you opted to on the first side, coming into Ardha Chandra Chapasana, bend your right knee towards your belly and catch hold of the top of your right foot. Kick your right leg slowly towards straight again as you bring your foot closer to your glute while opening the right side of your chest. Feel any fluctuations in your breathing pattern. Let's take 3 last breaths. Now, if your right knee is bent, slowly straighten your right leg and keep flexing your right foot. Bending your left knee, softly step your right foot to the ground, re-entering Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. And once there, keep your left knee bent, flip your left palm to face up, and reverse sideways, bending towards the rear of your mat. Peaceful or Exalted Warrior. Feel your breath. Feel the lengthening of your left side body. Allow a deep inhalation and ride the exhalation down to plank and into your chosen vinyasa, or simply straight to downward facing dog. Still, steady, and aware. Let's take 3 to 5 breaths. Now begin with your feet hips distance apart, lifting from your inner thigh to keep the balance of height in both hips. Inhale, raise your right flexed foot back. Equally lengthen both sides of your torso here. As you exhale, keep your shoulders balanced and come forward across your right knee to tap your left tricep, twisting in plank pose without twisting your shoulders. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, open your right thigh to tap the knee to your right tricep, again in plank pose. Inhale, raise your right leg. One more time, exhale, bend the knee towards your nose, round forward through plank. Softly stepping right foot just inside right tip. Keep your feet hips distance apart, parallel, and slowly rise up into crescent lunge. Let's flow a moment. Bring your hands to your hips. Drawing your left hip forward and your right hip back. Feel the balance of your two hips facing forward as your tailbone drops down. Your belly firms in and up. Inhale, bend your left knee. Tap the floor lightly. Exhale, straighten your left leg. Inhale, bend your left knee. Tap the floor lightly. Exhale, straighten your left leg. 3 more. Inhale, left knee taps the ground. Exhale, straighten. Now see if you can keep your pelvis the same height as much as you can. Inhale, bend left knee. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend left knee. Exhale, straighten. From here, straighten your right leg just for a moment, plugging the thigh bone back into the hip socket. Rebend your right knee. Spin your left heel to the floor. Warrior one. Feel the outside edge of your left foot, your heel firming into the ground as you continue to balance your hips to face forward. Bend your right knee directly on top of the ankle as you lift your frontal hip bones. Then raising your arms overhead, relax your shoulders, straighten your arms. You can always bring your hands a little more forward of your face than straight up. Perhaps bring the palms to touch. Choose one focal point for your eyes and let your body be still, your breath fluid, and your gaze steady. Now bring your arms down by your sides, palms facing forward, and tilt your torso forward to hover your belly off of your right thigh. Scissor your right outer hip back. Allow your left outer hip to come forward. Gaze on the floor ahead, feel the length of your neck. Deep breaths. Slowly step your left foot to touch the right, entering chair pose. Top of your mat, arms overhead. Keep your knees together as you sink your weight back towards your heels, hugging belly towards spine. Join your hands at your heart and begin to twist to your right. Keep the height of your hips leveled as you breathe in, perhaps sinking your tailbone further back while lengthening the crown of your head forward. Breathing out, rotating your rib cage, perhaps hooking left upper arm, outside right thigh. Again, noticing the workings of your mind. Though the experience, the physical pose, is neutral in itself, what comes up and how the mind perceives it. Last 2 breaths. Sink your hips. Inhale into chair pose. Begin to rise to stand, shifting your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg from the hip and bring your left foot to your inner ankle, calf or thigh for tree pose. From your left sole and your right leg into each other. Let your left sitting bone anchor downward towards your inner right heel. Press into the ground and rebound your way off the ground to your right sole, rising tall, steady. Arms wherever you like for the last few breaths in Vrikshasana. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, set your left foot next to your right foot, re-entering chair pose. Inhale in chair, draw your navel towards your spine, broaden your chest, lengthen your neck. Exhale, lean forward, join your hands to prayer at your heart and extend your left leg back into warrior three. Feel the height of your hips balance as you lengthen from crown to left heel, spiraling your inner left thigh slightly towards the sky. You could place your fingertips on blocks or the floor for added support, or extend your arms overhead for added rigor. Breathe into the experience of it. Breathe awareness. When you're ready, Softly step back to warrior one. Ground for an inhalation. Then exhale, lower back to downward facing, or add a flow at your own pace of breath. Three breaths once arriving in downward facing dog. Keeping your hips squared. Start with your feet hips distance. Lift from your inner thigh and inhale, flex your left foot behind you, legs straight. Balance the lengths of your waist. Exhale, cross left knee to right tricep. Balance your two shoulders over your wrists. Inhale, left leg behind you. Exhale, tap left knee to left tricep, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, round knee to nose. Stepping left foot forward, just inside of left hand. Stay on the ball of your right foot. Keep your feet hips distance apart, parallel. Rooting down through your feet, slowly rise to crescent lunge. Bring your hands to your hips. Encourage your right outer hip to rotate forward. Your left outer hip to draw back slightly. Feel the balance as your two hips face forward. Belly firms in and lifts up. Inhale, bend your right knee, tapping the ground with it. Exhale, straighten your right leg. Inhale, right knee taps the floor. Exhale, straighten. Three more. Inhale, tap. See if you can keep your pelvis the same height as you exhale to straighten. Inhale, tap. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, tap. Exhale, straighten. Now spin your right heel to the ground. Toes slightly facing forward. Warrior one. From the outside edge of your right heel to the earth as you completely straighten your right leg. Bend your left knee right on top of the ankle. Pelvic bowl upright. Raise your arms and relax your shoulders. Steadying your gaze. Several breaths. As we resist the experience, notice the effects of it. As we let go and surrender to the experience, notice the effects of it. Degasana. Bring your arms down by your sides, palms facing forward, and tilt your torso forward, just hovering belly off of left thigh. Continue to draw your left outer hip back. Rotate your right outer hip forward, broadening your chest as you gaze past your mat ahead. Deep breaths. Shifting your weight forward, softly step right foot against left foot, entering chair pose with knees together. Let your weight shift back towards your heels. Join your hands at the center of your heart space. Breathe in, draw your belly in as you lengthen your spine. Breathe out, begin to twist to your left at your waistline. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, keep twisting. Perhaps hooking right upper arm against left thigh. Last two breaths. Parita Utkatasana. Sink your hips a little lower. Inhale, return to chair pose. Shift your weight onto your left foot as you rise. Turn out your right leg at the hip, retreat pose. Hugging right foot inside left ankle, calf, or thigh. Perhaps raise your arms. Feeling the strength of your inner being. Feeling your own resilience. Let's take one last breath. Set your right foot against the left, re-entering chair pose. Join your hands at your heart and begin to extend right leg back to warrior three. As you straighten your right leg, flexing the foot, spiral your inner right thigh towards the sky. Lengthen your chest and crown forward. Lift the sides of your waist. Remember that you can reach for blocks or the floor. You could raise your arms overhead. Deep breaths. Virabhadrasana 3. Exiting differently. Step back, land in warrior one. Take a breath to ground. Then pivot your feet so that your toes all face the wide edge of your mat in a wide stance. Bring your hands behind your back to clasp. Inhale, roll your shoulders back and down as you look up. Exhale, hinge from your hips in Prajapita Padottanasana, legged forward fold. Let your weight shift a little heavier onto the balls of your feet than your heels. Feel your kneecaps slightly lift through the engagement of your quadriceps without locking your knees. Option to enter a spinal twist, one arm towards the sky, one hand on the ground before you. To clasp your big toes and go deeper into Padangusthasana, forward fold. Or to walk your hands back and your base, perhaps entering pod head. Back in wide-legged forward fold. Crawl your fingertips forward and lift your spine halfway up, pausing for a few deep breaths. Then heel toe your feet about hips distance apart to lower onto your knees. Tuck your toes behind you. Lift your spine upright, and let's come to stand in our knees in one round of Ustrasana, a heart opening camel pose. Bring your hands to your lower back, and if you have a block, I invite you to hug the skinniest width of it between your thighs, offering support for your lower back. With your hands on your lower back, fingertips face down, draw your tailbone towards the ground between your knees and keep your pelvis directly above your knees the whole posture. Lift your back ribs and take a deep breath, lifting and broadening your chest. As you exhale, coil your chest up from right beneath your shoulder blades, drawing your shoulder heads down. Give yourself another 5 to 10 deep breaths in this posture before you slowly rise to sit. You might reach for a heel, you might reach for both heels with your hands, just as long as you can keep your pelvis over your knees and feel no compression in your lower spine. And when you eventually come down to sit at your own rate, find a way to sit comfortably upright so we can begin Nadi Shodhana, a cleansing alternate nostril breathing. Resting your left hand on your lap, bring your thumb and first finger to touch if you like to help with concentrating. And with your right hand, stick out your thumb, pinky, and ring finger. Closing your mouth, sustain your breath softly through your nose. And you might eventually close your eyes when you do feel the pattern repeat of this breathing technique. Continue on at your own pace whenever you're ready. Let's begin together. Empty this breath. Hold it out. Right thumb covers right nostril. Inhale slowly through your left. Hold your breath in. Last two fingers cover left nostril. Exhale gently through your right. Hold your breath out. Inhale through right. Hold it in. Cover right with thumb. Exhale through left slowly. Hold it out. Inhale through left. Hold it in. Cover left. Exhale through right. Hold it out. Inhale through right. Hold it in. Cover right. Exhale through left. Hold it out. Release both hands onto your lap. And just breathe naturally, paying attention to what's here within you right now. And you might choose to keep your eyes closed as we enter two last finishing postures. Extending your left leg straight ahead with flexed foot. Bring the sole of your right foot onto your inner left thigh, left fingertips to the ground outside your left hip. Raise your right arm up, lengthen your spine, and ground your pelvis as you breathe in. Twist to your left and fold towards the upper left corner of your room, catching hold of the outside. And your heart space forward for 3 more breaths. Parita Janushasana, revolved head to knee pose. And leading with the center of your chest, breathe in to slowly rise. Extend your right leg forward and flex the foot. Hug the sole of your left foot high on your inner right thigh, right fingertips to the ground beside your right hip, left arm to the sky. Sit up tall, ground your pelvis as you breathe in, spiral your chest to your right and fold as you breathe out. Left hand presses against outside of right leg or catches the outer foot. Ground your left sitting bone. Extend your heart space towards the upper right corner of your room. Again, leading with your heart space, breathe in to rise. Find a comfortable way to place your body onto the ground, perhaps using props. Close your eyes and allow yourself to just be for a few minutes of Shavasana. If you would like to join me to sit silently for meditation for our last 5 minutes together, please ease your body up to sit. And a suggestion mantra from our reading today: I can feel this without pushing it away or getting caught up in it. I can feel this without pushing it away or getting caught up in it. 5 minutes. The chant that's now playing, Sat Nam, is Sanskrit for true self. And as we allow ourselves to feel the whole spectrum of our human experiences without pushing them away or getting caught up in them, we realize our capacity is so much greater than we might have initially perceived. touching upon that infinite source that's within all of us. Sat Nam, true self. Let's close this practice with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.